Awesome. All right. Well, welcome to RTAF, Thomas.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, man. I know we were just sitting here chatting away, but yeah, let's make it official. Yeah. So you go by Detour.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where'd you get that moniker from?
I think the tape is over there. It's like a VHS tape
Uh-huh.
that I bought when I was living in Germany, and it was like a compilation of like my favorite dancers in the crew called Originality Stands Alone,
Mm-hmm.
and I bought the VHS tape, and it had Detours in there in the title,
Mm-hmm.
and I just liked the name and how
Yeah.
it sounded, and that's when I was like getting into airbrushing in high school, and liked it, and just like sounded better than Thomas Evans.
Yeah, for sure.
Thomas Evans doesn't really ring,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
hard. So
Yeah.
I just was like, let me just use Detour, and yeah, just been using it ever since. That was like maybe 20 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, about 20 years ago, man.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's been a while.
So you lived in Germany.
Yeah,
What part?
Ramstein and Baumholder.
Okay.
It was like two different times.
Oop.
Oh, no, it's a little moving. Oh. Let me make sure
It's
this is
tricky.
tight.
It's tricky.
Okay, it was like first time when I was really little. That was like for 4 years in Baumholder, and then the second time for 4 years in Ramstein. It was like high school,
Okay.
and that was like it was good. It was like 2001 to almost 2004, 3-ish,
Nice.
or no, 2000 to 2003 or 4-ish out there. But yeah, I mean, I liked it. It was really good. Got to travel around. I
Mhm.
mean, that's why I like to just travel and like meet new people.
Oh yeah,
And,
traveling's awesome.
yeah, just like
Love it.
getting that itch because my dad's military, so we moved around everywhere, and basically that's why I got into art. And basically, I just like to move around and just like change things up all
Mhm.
the time. And basically, that's sort of like where I get my passion from when it comes to just not having sort of like too many roots in one
Mhm.
area.
Mhm.
But I've been in Colorado for the past 16 years, so I guess it makes me sort of rooted out
Yeah,
here
yeah.
now. But this is like where I found like a good community of
Mhm.
artists type of thing.
Yeah.
But I still try to travel out as much as I can. So mostly trying to do more stuff in South America.
Oh, cool.
So learning some Spanish and everything. So I was doing a residency out there for a month. The year before last year, and then went to just vacation a little bit with another artist out there, who lives out there, Pole,
Mhm.
and basically hung out with him in January for about 2 weeks, and then trying to do that again, but COVID happened.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of like trying to wait to get back there, but brushing up on my Spanish as much as I can,
Mhm.
so I can sort of just go out there and just hang out wherever I want to.
Nice.
But
Nice.
then also moved to Tanzania for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so Tanzania was like a good about 7, 8 months, and that was in 2014. And I was like, I went there on like New Year's Eve
Mhm.
and landed there like beginning of the New Year's, and basically did like volunteer work, and that was sort of like my just like a vacation from my life type of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, I was trying to join the military, but I tore my knee, so I didn't finish anything.
And this was
Get
in
in.
2014?
That was
or
like
before?
2013.
Okay.
2013 when I tried, and then basically didn't get in. I was bummed out for a while, and then tried, or just donated artwork to this nonprofit. And basically, I was like, hey, when next time you go to Tanzania, let me know. They gave my contact to someone. He hits me up and says, hey, do you want to come out? And I was out there the next month.
Nice.
There's like 3 different shots you got to take. But otherwise, it's just like getting a visa when you land,
Yeah.
and just living in Tanzania for a while, man.
What were you
Uh,
doing out there?
Just volunteering,
Yeah.
doing like
Building things?
teaching some art,
Mhm.
but doing mostly like an entrepreneurship sort of course for Form 6.
Mm.
It's like it would be like associate's degree,
Okay.
more like kids in between high school and getting into like an associate's degree program.
Mm-hmm.
because they're waiting on their test to see where they can sort of go in terms of just like the next schooling. Um, so rather than having them just sit around the house type of thing, we have like a course I made about entrepreneurship,
Mm-hmm.
and they were basically taking just like a crash course for like 8 weeks. And
Nice.
we had like a business plan competition and everything, and it was just like it was super fun, just to like make up a curriculum and teach it to them. But that's what they did in between them waiting for the results of their test
Yeah.
and everything to determine where they can go to school.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that and then basketball. Even though I never really played basketball,
Yeah.
other than junior high,
Mm-hmm.
I was coaching some basketball, which was fun.
Nice.
But yeah, it was fun out there. It was just like meeting new people, learning a little bit Swahili,
Nice.
and just traveling around a bit,
Yeah.
and just trying to survive and not get bit by stuff.
So
Yeah.
Tanzania,
Yeah.
you're just trying not to get bit by stuff. You're teaching some courses. That was something I wanted to ask you about because
Yeah.
you have just prolific Instagram Art Tip Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Like I was gonna ask you if you'd ever either taught actual like formal teaching course or
Hell
had
no.
had considered it.
No.
No. Hell
God,
no.
God, no. No. No, teachers are underpaid
Yeah.
and highly disrespected.
Mm-hmm.
So I would never want to sort of go to the teaching practice under like the current structure.
Right.
So like my whole thing is like I want to do it my way.
Yeah, I was kind of
And- yeah,
yeah.
you
That's
know?
kind of what I was getting
Yeah,
at.
you know, just like do it online the way I want to do it, and
Mhm.
you know, if I could take a break, I could take a break.
Right.
But like the Art Tip Tuesday post that I do, that started like almost a couple months after I started doing full time
Mm-hmm.
art, like 2014, 15,
Mm-hmm.
or yeah, late 2014, and then people kept asking me questions,
Mm-hmm.
and this is like before Instagram was like everyone was on it,
Right.
and basically just made a post that would just talk about the stuff I was learning and sort of just hit on some of the common questions that I would get.
Mm-hmm.
And basically it's like people started really paying attention to it and been doing that for like 5 years straight now, and it's been really good. So I mean, doing that really helped out when it came to like just making sure I sort of go over what I learned
Mhm.
that week or what I was learning. Like this past Tuesday was, you know, about having multiple platforms to sort of get your stuff out there and work
For sure.
out there.
Yeah.
Because TikTok, you know, it's like, you know, Trump may ban it.
Yeah.
You don't know if he's gonna ban it or not.
But
So it's kind of like, okay, if he does, there's a lot of people on there that just like get really big
Mhm.
and now could just go away.
right.
So there's a lot of influencers dusting off resumes right now.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you just, yeah, you just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like you got to have multiple platforms, so it's like you're not dependent on one. So,
Sure.
you know, that was like just like a sort of a art tip,
Mm-hmm.
but it was more like a
The business
art
tip.
business
Yeah.
marketing tip, which is like what most artists need.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's like what I like to do, because sometimes you just don't think about that
Uh-huh.
at all until like something like that happens.
Mhm.
Like if they get rid of Instagram, it's like
Yeah.
what would people
What
do?
would we, yeah,
Yeah.
What would we do?
Yeah, people freak out when like Instagram is like down for a day or something.
Right.
So like, what would you do? And just like having multiple platforms, and then like having an email list is always important. So it's like you can, everyone young and old has an email.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, making sure you have an email list as well.
For sure.
But it's like some of those sort of business sort of areas that I sort of focus on now.
Sure.
Because regardless of like what type of medium you do, like you can be a painter, a muralist. Is that me? Oh shit, my bad.
It's all good.
Okay, what was the question?
We're talking
So, yeah,
about art
yeah,
business.
So yeah, so I try to focus on the
Yeah.
art and the business part of it, mainly because regardless of what medium you're into or what sort of art form you're into, like dance, or you can be a comedian, you can be
Right.
whatever. It's like it's all going to be the same
Right.
in terms of just like, you know, you need to do this, this, and this, or you need to focus on this, this, and this, and that's going to help you out.
Yeah.
Because before it was just mostly like painting.
Mhm.
And sort of like, you know, a regular sort of performance artist wouldn't necessarily get a lot of value out of that type
Totally.
of thing. So making it a little bit more broad, but also too things that, like I said, everyone can sort of relate to, but that everyone sort of always talks about too. So it doesn't even
Right.
have to be business too.
Right.
It's kind of like, learning
How
how
to
to,
get your stuff out there.
yeah, how to get your stuff out
Yeah.
there, and sometimes mental health stuff like learning not to compare yourself. Just like
Yeah.
having a good reminder
Yeah.
of that right there. So
Hmm.
like sometimes,
The self-doubt one I
yeah,
thought was pretty cool. Yeah.
sometimes people don't really think about that until another artist brings it up.
Yeah.
'Cause I had a couple conversations with artists recently who were like, yeah, I had to really sort of like check my ego
Hmm.
because I was doing this, this, and this, and things like that. Every artist goes through,
Yeah.
type of thing, but no one really sort of talks about it.
Yeah, I
You
feel
only
like
talk,
there's
yeah,
like all these little roadblocks like self-doubt or comparing yourself to others or just like being anxious to meet people and network.
yeah,
That could be one. It that you definitely don't think about when you're first picking up a paintbrush.
yeah.
But down the line,
You need
it's
it.
like you need these like protections and like the mental clarity to like see
Yeah,
through and
you
figure all
you
that stuff
you
out.
need it. You need it, and plus, like I said, regardless of what medium you're doing, everyone goes through that.
Yeah,
And then now you need it more than ever because of social media.
totally.
And then it's not like you can just rely on an agent or a gallery to push your work for you.
Mm-hmm.
Now those galleries are just like you have to come already supporting yourself type of
Right.
thing when it comes to the art. So yeah, I mean that's like what I really try to focus on whenever I'm like doing sort of the art tips
Yeah.
nowadays, and then trying to transition that more into like the YouTube's realm a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. So like trying to push that off into YouTube. So it's a lot more sustainable because I can't really monetize it on Instagram. It's more just because I love helping out artists.
Mm-hmm.
So pushing that to YouTube as much as I can. So trying to like do videos from Art to Tuesdays for YouTube and then put that on Instagram type of thing too.
Nice.
So yeah, so just like trying to be as sustainable as possible
Yeah.
because that definitely takes a lot of energy
Yeah.
out of me to like always have to think of something every Tuesday.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
For
for like
sure.
the past 5 years.
Yeah, I noticed that, man.
Yeah,
I did do a deep dive on your Instagram,
nice.
and I was like, how far back did this
Yeah,
go?
yeah,
Kept like
man.
loading and loading.
Yeah, so I mean, I used to post a lot more
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning, because I used to do like all the behind the scenes stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people were asking questions because they would see me mixing paint and then like the sketch and then
Yeah.
like half of the painting done, third of the painting done, finished product type of thing, me gessoing. So like they would ask questions throughout the whole process, and that's how it just like generated content,
Mm-hmm.
and that just basically just added up over time, and now it's just like I have a ton of just content on there.
Yeah.
But like nowadays, it's the content or just like the projects that I do a lot
Mm-hmm.
bigger. Before it was just like smaller paintings, commission work stuff for a restaurant, some pop art stuff. But now it's kind of like these larger projects that I do.
Yeah.
That I have to figure out, how do I sort of showcase that online
Right.
in a tasteful way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like a little bit harder to do social media for me, especially because like I got into the point where it's kind of like I don't want to have to do it all the time.
Right.
But that's where I get a lot of opportunity. So I have to sort
Yeah.
of like figure out ways to sort of reinvent myself on there
Certainly.
and just like translate the work that I'm doing into something that people want to just see across their feed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it's a constant struggle.
Yeah.
That's what everyone goes through.
Yeah. So you studied marketing in college,
Yeah.
and just talking to you like in the last 5 minutes, I can tell whether it's conscious or not. Like that plays a big role in how you kind of navigate through the art world on
Yeah.
the business side.
I'd say more so because I did my bachelor's in business administration, emphasis in marketing,
Mm-hmm.
and then I did my master's in my MBA with emphasis in marketing. The MBA helped out a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Like any bachelor degree is kind of like you're just learning the basics.
Mm-hmm.
But with the master's stuff, it was like more the people around me I was working with that really was instrumental. And
Mhm.
then more so than like just the education I was getting through, like the formal stuff, it was like doing shit on my own.
Mhm.
It's like because I was breakdancing for the longest time,
Yeah.
and I was organizing my own events. So like organizing your own events, you have to learn like how do you get a venue?
Right.
It's like when you're a kid who's 17 asking, this bar, can you use their venue to have 200 people come in and spin
Yeah.
on their head, and a fight may break out type of thing. So it's like, how do you navigate that? How do you navigate things like, okay, how do I pay the DJ when
Yeah.
it's based on the door type of thing, or if it rains, what happens? So like all that stuff, sort of played into what I do today, because I was actually like doing it even
Right.
before I went to high or college. It
Right.
was like I was trying to organize stuff. I was trying to like get people together. I was like really sort of like a community builder in many ways. Um, in the so like the different arts community and dance community,
Mhm.
and then when I was on campus, I worked in student life office, basically organizing events, and that helped out a lot. So like more so actually going out and doing stuff
Mhm.
was more instrumental than I would say the school, but the school really just like refined everything
Sure.
I was
Sure.
doing, like put like a term to it,
Yeah.
and gave me like a good network and everything. But like really just going out there and saying, how do I put together an art show?
Right.
Let me find a venue.
Right.
Oh, these people like my work. Okay, what's the split going to be? Or how do I sort of market my stuff?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
what printer do I go to? Okay, what's the cost? So learning all that stuff really helped me out today in terms of just like growing a little bit. And I'm
Nice.
still learning. Like,
Yeah. We all are.
yeah, I mean, right now it's kind of like you can only grow as much as you can sort of do in your studio space. So now, like, I'm trying to learn as much as possible how to sort of bring other people in to
Mhm.
my practice in my studio to help me out.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not doing everything,
Right.
because, like I said, it's like you can only scale so much. So it's like the more people you bring in, the more you can sort of scale up the different projects that you do.
Sure.
Yeah, if I want to do like a huge wall, a huge project,
Right.
I can sort of take that on, but
It's a lot.
it's a lot,
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not the best when it comes to, talking with the city or talking with these people, or, it's putting sponsorship decks together, things like that. So I have to bring people in that helped me out.
Yes.
I just want to focus on the art. That's the
Yeah.
biggest thing. So, I mean, that's what
Exactly.
I'm learning now,
Yeah.
and that's what a couple other artists that I admire really do well.
Well, let's put it out there. Like anybody who's interested,
Yeah,
contact you. Yeah.
well, I have a lot of people interested.
Interested. Okay. Okay.
It's like finding the right people.
Sure.
It's
Sure.
like if I need to yell at you, I don't want to yell at you and
Right.
feel
You
bad.
don't. Right.
Yeah.
You don't want them to be hurt to
Yeah,
the
you don't
core.
want to be hurt. So it's like just trying to find the right people.
Yeah. For sure.
And yeah, just like working on projects with people and start to see, okay, they're good at this, this, and this type of thing.
Sure.
And that's sort of how I want to bring people in. Plus, I'm chaotic in the studio anyway,
Yeah.
and I barely know what I'm doing from day to day. I don't want to bring other people in that chaos. So like I have to do the work in terms of just like writing all that stuff down and figuring out what will help them out too.
Yeah.
Because I want them to sort of leave feeling like they gain some skill sets. And
Sure.
like
Yeah.
they learn, or they can go and do their own thing.
Kind of
better.
like an apprenticeship,
Yeah.
but not so formal.
Yeah, like an internship to where it's kind of like they learned a lot and now they're doing their own thing.
Mhm.
So like stuff like that. So it's like I got to actually focus on like organizing my own practice a little bit
Yeah.
before I bring other people in.
Did you have a mentor? Did you have someone,
No,
or just
no,
kind
I
of
mean,
a lot of people, or?
I always tell people that like get mentors, but mine sort of came in like uh, a mix of different people.
Mhm.
Like usually when you think mentor, it's like one person,
Sure.
but you can have multiple mentors based on like their skill set.
Mhm.
So like I have someone I go to for like my business stuff, or I have someone I can call on to ask more about the street stuff, or how do you do this, this, and this on walls, or how do you navigate this area of the gallery space, or how do you navigate this when it comes to copyright and working with brands, things like that. So I do have people that I lean on a lot,
Mhm.
but no one that's like specifically like they're known as a mentor type of thing.
Sure.
Like when I first got in, I sent and then a message out to a couple people, but they were always busy. But it was like just talking to them from time to time
Yeah.
really helped me out. But yeah, like artists now, it's kind of like if you can find a mentor, that'd definitely be like the way to go. So you don't make those mistakes
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
I think it's kind of cool though that you like diversified it from one person. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Instead of just having this like monolithic like entity
yeah,
to be like, well, what do I do about this? Like, maybe they know, like you were saying, like some things about like technical art
yeah,
stuff better, but then some other person might know how to
yeah,
score a wall
yeah.
or whatever
Yeah, I
like
mean,
that.
there's a lot of artists out there that are like good in certain areas,
Hmm.
but just like weak in other areas.
Yeah.
So like figuring out, what you want to do and who has that skill set type of thing.
Hmm.
Which is what like, what you should do just in general. With anything you want to do and be good at. So it's like having the multiple people to sort of lean on. And that's why I like Denver because there's a lot of people out here
Yeah.
to sort of lean on and everyone's super helpful. So that's why I pretty much am able to do a lot of stuff is
Hmm.
because of the community out here has been so helpful when it comes to just like giving out knowledge and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of want to get back to your story.
Yeah.
When did you start painting? Were you painting in high school?
I was doing airbrushing in high school.
Uh-huh.
Did that for about 10 years.
Yeah.
Because that's when eBay was really big.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing like 1,000 SpongeBob's. That was like dressed like Tupac. And so like drawing
Nice.
all those T-shirts and Chingy and Nelly and Biggie Smalls and all these people
Just on t-shirts.
just on T-shirts.
Nice.
All on T-shirts, man. So I mean, I would do that and sell on eBay,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like $100 a shirt type of thing. So it was like
Nice.
getting good at, buying a shirt, painting it really fast, and then shipping it.
Yeah.
And then that was up until 2000 and maybe I'd say 7
Mm-hmm.
or 8.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to Canvas. And then with Canvas, I was making my own canvases out of broken records.
Oh,
So I would like
nice.
take broken records. Because this is when I was into DJing as well.
Wait, I saw this. You had
Yeah.
like, did you have a vinyl press
Yeah.
too? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like the vinyl records I would get from the vinyl record store, so Wax Tracks
Mm-hmm.
and Twist and Shout, they always have a bin full of like broken records, or
Sure.
not broken, but just like records they can't sell
Old,
because they're scratched.
scratched. Yeah.
So like a lot of people will, have like a family member pass away, they clean out the house and they find records and they just give it to Wax Track just to get rid of it type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
They go through it and then there's like records that are good, records that are just like they can't sell. So they
Sure.
throw that in a bin. So I used to go there, grab a ton of those, and basically take them back and glue them to the canvas and make a canvas out of that. And then paint on top of that.
Were you airbrushing then too?
Yeah, I was airbrushing on top of that stuff. So that was, it was like 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12. And that was really good because people really like that style. I
Mhm.
just like that process. And mostly it was musicians. So they really liked the idea of just like having something on broken records.
Yeah.
And learn a lot about, just how to be a little bit more unique.
Mhm.
And then it was like 2010 maybe, 8 or no, I think 9 or 10, where I started adding speakers into my work. So I had like a speaker that I just took out of a boombox
Mm-hmm.
and had to make my own sort of wood panel canvas to sort of drill it in
Mhm.
there, put broken records on top of that, and then put like an auxiliary cord, attach that to the speaker, so you can plug up your phone to it.
That's
So
dope.
like so like when you had your iPhone or something, you can plug up your phone. So that was like the idea. I did it the first time for Shoe Shine, the sneaker show,
Mm-hmm.
where the organizer Musa gave us all backboards, like wood backboards to
Mhm.
paint on. So I did it for the show, and it worked out really well. It worked out well in terms of just the concept. Like you couldn't hear it in the venue,
Mm-hmm.
but the concept was there. So I just had to learn about amplifiers and all these other things to make it loud.
Mm-hmm.
like how do I turn it on and off, all these different things, the power source. But after I did that, like it really caught on. People loved the idea. So did that for a while and then moved to doing work with brushes in like 2013.
Are you back in Colorado at this point?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so 20 early 2012, 2013.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing work with oils during that time.
Nice.
And then tried graduated 2012, did like advertising late 2012, early 2013, and then tried to join the military in the middle of 2013. Didn't work out. And that's when I moved to Tanzania
Okay.
at the end of 2013.
Okay.
But yeah, by then I was just like doing the oils,
Mm-hmm.
but only like maybe half
Mm-hmm.
a year or so. And then when I got back in 2014, that's when I was doing some more interactive work with speakers and sound and oil painting. And basically, that's like when I started like sort of like the official career as an
Yeah.
artist. And yeah, I mean, I did like a whole sort of like business plan,
Yeah.
like an artist plan, like figure out okay what platforms am I going to be on, what venues am I going to go out for, who I'm going to contact. Do I want to be independent or like reach out to galleries or whatever?
Totally.
And did all that stuff, and then get or locked a venue for a show,
Mm-hmm.
and the venue was Cold Crush. He used to be
Okay.
on 27th and Larimer, and basically, it was doing that show was my first official show as like a full time artist.
Yeah.
Went well. Pieces didn't fly off the wall at all.
Mm.
And the work I was doing was like the interactive work with where it's like you can touch the painting
Yeah, I saw that
and trigger sound,
too. Uh-huh.
and that was really cool. It's like the first time ever doing anything like that.
Yeah.
And the work that I was doing was like of my friends who were actually playing on top of the painting of themselves. And basically, it was like right when I got back, so marijuana was legalized. A lot of people were moving to Denver. So like this arts district was sort of, just
Coming up.
and
Yeah.
everything. But I couldn't sell like a piece for over $1,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they would pay like 500 for it, and then it was like 800 pieces from that show. Went around for that price, and then my other friend, Casey Carnes, opened up Miller Kitchen across the street,
Mm-hmm.
and he wanted me to move my stuff over there, and I moved my stuff over there like a month after my show at Cold Crush, and basically started putting work in his space, and he had like a great restaurant, so people were coming in from all over the place, and started selling work here and there, and then it wasn't really until I started doing live art that a lot of stuff started flying.
Nice.
And that was like my other friend DJ AL had a night called Art and Soul at Ophelia's, and doing work at Ophelia's live, I learned how to move from oils to acrylics and
Yeah.
latex, and basically my work got super colorful because I didn't have time to sort of mix,
Sure.
because it was like I'm on stage, I have 3 hours, 4 hours to get this thing done, and I don't have time to sort of color match everything. Plus the
Right.
lighting there sucks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of like, let me just move fast. So work got colorful, and I wasn't really expecting to sell anything.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy who bought my Dizzy Gillespie piece like years ago, like almost like 6 years before I was in there, came and bought the piece out of Ophelia's, my first one, and it was I think a Marvin Gaye piece. Yeah, and he bought that one, and I was like, oh, you want to buy it? And yeah, took off the canvas or took it off the easel, and he walked away with it. So it was great. And
Yeah,
then someone like commissioned like 3 other pieces
That same night.
that same night, and there
Oh,
was
yeah.
like, I was like, they were like, how much is a piece? And I was like, 500 a piece.
Yeah.
And they're like,
How
okay,
big were they?
sweet.
How big were they?
They were like almost 4 by 5 feet.
Whoa.
4 by 5
For
feet.
$500.
Yeah, 4
Ooh.
by 5 for 500 bucks. But I got them done like I painted.
You busted them out.
Like
Yeah.
three hours a piece, three
Oh
or four
wow,
hours a piece.
that's what's up.
And I was like, oh yeah. And then she was like, hey, do you have like a? I only have a credit card. I was like, let me break out my
Square.
cookbooks or a
Yeah,
Square,
yeah.
type of thing. And I was like, oh shit, it's that easy. So basically, started doing a lot more live art, and for like almost like a good year and a half, I was just like doing live art
Yeah.
all the time. That's why I have a bad back now, because I was just like doing it
Standing.
almost every day.
Yeah.
But that's really where people started to notice my work, was because they would be at affiliates, and then they would go to a dispensary called Natural Remedies, see my work. They would go to Metal Art Kitchen and see my work, and it was like different. It was it was
Zones.
also because it was big,
Hmm.
because I was doing like 4 by 5 feet, 4 by 6 feet
Right.
a lot of times. So it'd be like a perfect piece if you just bought a house or an apartment to put over the couch type of thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's affordable.
Yeah.
So like people were buying my stuff and then slowly increasing the price,
Yeah.
and then slowly sort of like experimenting more with color, experimenting more with materials, and learn how to stretch my own canvases and everything, and how to sort of transport paintings. So that was like a good 2 years of just like doing paintings, some live art, and bigger pieces. And then I got really into murals. A good year and a half I started full time, because the individuals running Crush Mural Festival,
Yeah.
Crush Walls out here, during the time, saw my work because they ate at Metal Art Kitchen,
Hmm.
and they kept seeing my work because their office is on the other side of the block. And they were like, hey, have you done murals? I was like, no. And maybe once before. I did a mural in Tanzania, but it was like brushwork, and it was like
Hmm.
sort of like I sketched it out and did paint my numbers for the kids and everything.
Hmm.
But it came out really good, but nothing with spray paint. And then they were like, hey, we're going to give you some spray paint, and you're going to get this janky wall in the middle of the festival and like the alleyway. And basically hit up my friend Tens that showed me how to do some techniques and stuff, and he helped me out, and took about a week to do it. Something I can do in like a couple hours now, but it took me
Yeah.
like a week to do it. But it came out really good. It was like translating that colorful stuff I was doing on canvas to like the wall,
Yeah.
and worked out really well. Got into like a couple publications, and was like sort of the face of the mural festival for certain articles and everything. So I was super stoked about that, and like
Yeah.
got the bug to do more and more and more, and just like learn how to use spray paint better. And
Yeah.
basically it's sort of like that is what really got me into doing larger and larger works
Yeah.
a lot more. Yeah.
It's interesting how all these little things add up,
Yeah.
and your path can kind of take you in different directions
Yeah.
as you keep going. I guess that's like another reason your name like fits with the
Yeah.
artwork, with your story,
Yeah.
That's super cool, man. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Thanks.
just like trying different stuff, and then basically, like I said, it was just like just like going with the flow,
Mhm.
learning, and then like when something really was like exciting to me, I just leaned into it and just
Mhm.
kept doing it, and just explored and like tried to expand a little bit with the murals, and that worked out. And then trying to do as much as I can. So like now it's kind of like going from sort of the pop art stuff that I was doing
Mhm.
more into conceptual stuff, other sort of areas of the art world. When I started doing residencies,
Mhm.
I did one here in Denver with Redline for like 2 years, and started doing more conceptual sort of installation pieces and artwork pieces, things like that,
Mhm.
with like more original concepts, and just like exploring as much as I could, and traveling as well. Like I said before, it was like that's why I was in Argentina for a while, and then did France as well, like a couple months before that. So like traveling and using the art to sort of get me around the world.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like just never know where I will be, sort of
Mhm.
like from year to year, or what I'm going to be into.
Mhm.
Like murals are some like a thing I always do, but it's like trying to figure out what's that next project or what's that next sort of installation that I want to do, or who do I want to work with or collab type of thing.
For sure.
That's always up in the air because I try not to limit myself a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
and just try to do, what I want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, what feels natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, traveling is like one of those things. It's such a natural high. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You're in a new place. You have to really like pay attention, I feel like. And
Yeah.
you got to be
Yeah.
aware and just like you're taking it all in. And I think that you gain like a lot of experience
Yeah,
traveling.
I mean, you have to learn what are the supplies in the area
Mm-hmm.
because you can't always carry your stuff with you.
Yeah,
Where do I get canvases? What do they paint on?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
How is it? In Tanzania, I couldn't get any water-based acrylics at all. It was
Mhm.
all oil-based, and like thinning it down with gasoline. Yeah, it was
Whoa.
it was like getting used to that
Yeah,
type
yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
They're not gonna have the nicest spray paint out there.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of gold. So like, okay, what do I have to use
Yeah.
out there? Same thing like Buenos Aires. It was, I had to work with the limited amount of colors that I had, and then I have to work with the humidity out there too.
Right.
Because
There's none of that here.
yeah, there's like no humidity, so everything dries fast.
Mm-hmm.
But in Buenos Aires, I was literally watching paint dry, just like trying to
Using
get
a
it
brush down there or spray
yeah,
paint?
brush for a couple murals and then
Yeah, yeah.
spray paint for the other ones.
Yeah. Was
So,
spray
like-
paint taking a while to dry too?
No, it was like
Okay.
mostly just like when I was priming my wall
Yeah.
and with a ton of colors, just,
Yeah.
just waiting for that thing to dry.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
like
yeah.
the type of paint they use, it's like you can only get it in gallons.
Mhm.
So it's not like I'm getting like small samples at
Yeah,
all,
yeah.
where it's kind of like I just need a small amount of this color. So you have to mix a lot more down there. So it's like all these different things that you learn when you travel to different places. So that's why I like it.
It's like getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah,
You know?
out of your comfort zone, become more adaptive, and then you have to learn like the language of the area, and then like the culture, and like how do people relate to art in certain areas.
Yeah, yeah.
Down there, it's kind of like you can't really be a full-time artist because
Sure.
people just don't have that buying sort of attitude when it comes to art down there like they do
Mhm.
here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like you can make great art, but there's not that sort of buying pool to sort of buy your work all the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of like, okay, you have to sort of go to another place. A lot of them come here or to
Yeah,
Europe to do a lot of the work and then fly back type of thing. So it's sort of that mentality that I was learning. But they like the work that they do down there is like really passionate because of that. Having sort of like money, sort of not a part of your practice all the time. Seems like a lot of people flourish on that, or like that's why they make great art.
Yeah.
Like when you bring in money, that's when stuff sometimes become diluted.
Yeah,
or,
or
you know,
contrived or
Yeah,
something. Yeah,
type
yeah,
of thing. But down there, it's kind of like, well, we're just doing it because we love what we want to do.
Absolutely.
And you can sort of really see that in a lot of artists. So, it was just really interesting to see, other communities of artists
Mm-hmm.
and how they relate to like the surrounding areas. Because down there, it was also too, they were I guess a lot of them really sort of focus on the history and like the color palettes were different
Yeah.
and everything. So that's what I was like learning about when I was down there in terms of just like the style.
Is that where you got the kind of like colorful portraits from, or is
No,
that
no,
part of it at all?
No, that was like the live art stuff.
Okay.
That's where I started.
So
doing
it
a lot
just
of
got
color.
that just kind of forced you to be like, well, I'm gonna have my darkest shadow be like a blue,
Yeah,
my highest highlight be
Yeah.
like a yellow or a white
Yeah.
or something like that.
yeah. So I mean, that all
It-
came from the live art stuff.
Got
Just
it.
like, when you use like a really dark, like if you use black as the
Mhm.
darkest color, sometimes that takes away from a lot of stuff where it's too strong. So that's why I use like a
Right.
blue.
Sure, yeah.
And then I'll use white sparingly.
Sparingly?
Sparingly.
I think that's how you say it.
Sparingly? Yeah, but I don't use it that often. But yeah, so like adding some different sort of signatures here and there,
Yeah, yeah.
based off of like what my preference is.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, just like traveling around, it's kind of like you're able to sort of see how other communities of artists sort of will do work. And like when I went to France, I was in La Napole. It's near Nice in Cannes,
Nice down there.
French Riviera.
Yeah.
Really nice. But the art scene that I saw was like really gritty, especially in Marseille.
Really.
Marseille. Looks like street art culture, but there was like nothing sort of in between.
It was street art or
It was
gallery,
like street art, or
museum.
it was like people that really were romanticizing like the old masters type of thing. So like a lot of old masters come from Europe
Oh, for
and
sure.
that area.
Yeah.
And just like in France, so it's kind of like the collectors really want the old school stuff or like that stuff because like it'd be great to have like an old master in your collection.
Sure.
And then it's really hard, they were telling me, for a lot of like new artists to really have that sort of prestige of like the old master, but their stuff is contemporary. And so it was like really either the old school stuff or really just like more of the nitty gritty
street
art and everything.
That's funny when I feel like when a place has that kind of dichotomy, it's because of like the pure. It's like a purity thing where they're like, we must have the finest of art. But then of course like you're like uplifting this other thing, so something else has to pop up to kind of like balance it out or something.
Yeah, I mean like out here, in many places in the U.S., it's like you have a lot of people who want to collect art, buy art, but they don't know a lot of art, and they're not really interested in having a lot of people would want the Basquiat, but like the Picasso or whatever, the obscure, pieces that will go for 300 million on Sotheby's type of thing.
Sure.
So, but they like a Jaime Molina, they'll like a Jordan Castillo, or some work that they can see on Instagram a lot.
Yep.
So it's kind of like you have people that are able to sort of dish out that sort of funds for contemporary art that they just like, type of thing.
Yeah, it's less about like the prestige or the name. It's more just like what you vibe with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's where we're sort of like in the middle. We're lucky to sort of have that sort of just like buying pool, because like sometimes like the people who buy the work can sometimes sort of dictate what gets made type of thing too in the community. So because there's just so many people like that, and there's all diverse, it's kind of like a lot of stuff can get made out here. I mean that was really cool, just to sort of like travel around and just like have that sort of perspective on like how all these things just work together in terms of just like the arts community. Yeah,
it's interesting. So you were talking about a business plan earlier. And I know I'm pretty weak with that kind of thing, and so I'm sure like a lot of new artists listening would appreciate like maybe just an inside look on how to do that.
I wrote a ton of business plans in school, and all it is just like a guide in terms of like how your business is going to operate. And direction, and sort of like the decisions. So like think about a McDonald's, right? Okay, what is your logo? What are your colors that you want people to associate with McDonald's? What are your products? What do your products look like? What demographic are you sort of reaching? What's your price point type of? So all these different things really sort of are all these sort of different elements that you would apply to a McDonald's, you would just apply to anything else in your practice. So like, okay, what does your buyer look like? And you can tell that by people who previously bought your work. You're looking at, where do you want to show at? So like McDonald's, okay, we're going to have like our own little retail places. We're going to be in this neighborhood type of thing. Okay, where do you want to put your art? Is it going to be just in museums, or are you type of artist that doesn't mind showing in a restaurant or a coffee shop type of thing? Because there is sort of like the snooty side of the art world that if you have your stuff in restaurants, blah blah blah, you have to be in certain places. So like, okay, what type of artists are you trying to be, and how do you want to carve out that niche type of thing. So me, it's kind of like I don't mind putting myself in restaurants and other
Right.
places. So it's kind of like I'll do that, and it's kind of like, okay, what other places do you want to be, and okay, where do you want to, or what places do you want to avoid, what price points will you not go under, type of thing. All these different little things, um, really you have to think about, because it's going to help you make decisions later in
Mhm.
terms of who to work with, what projects to take on,
Yeah.
what schools you want to apply for or residencies you want to apply for. How do you want to spend your time?
Right.
How do you want, like, you don't want to spend your time, you know, s- you know, lugging stuff to a fair in the middle of nowhere,
Right.
an art fair, Cherry. Well, I'm saying in the middle of nowhere, like a Cherry Creek Arts Fest type of thing,
Uh-huh.
and set up a booth type of thing.
Mhm.
If that's
If
not
that's
where
not
you
who
want to
you are.
be,
Yeah, yeah,
so it's kind of like, okay, if that's not who you want to be, don't apply for that.
yeah.
Even though it may be an opportunity, it's like it's not for you type of thing.
Totally.
Like, focus on the things that you really want to do. So it just helps you focus a little bit. So like, I'd say Google business plan, and they'll have like like the sort of the template
Mhm.
in terms of just like, okay, marketing, like product. Okay, where there's like the 4 P's of marketing was price, place, product, promotion
Mhm.
type of thing. So it's kind of like, okay, figuring out, okay, what type of work are you doing?
Right.
Place, where are you putting your work in terms of the marketing, things like that. Price, place,
Product.
product. No, I think it's
Promotion.
promotion. Well, it's been a long
Anyway.
time.
Yeah,
Really, like all
yeah.
these different things, kind of like just translate that to your sort of practice, and you'll start to understand. Okay, this is okay. What I want, where I want to go, so like the artist I want to be. So
Right.
these are the decisions I need to make.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like self-awareness is a big part of all
yeah,
this.
yeah. You
Just
gotta
like
really know exactly
what you
what
like.
you like, what you want to do. Because
Yeah.
sometimes if you don't have, it's like having one of the things in like a business plan. It's like, what are your core values?
Mhm.
Um, like, what will not change? Like, there's artists that will chase the money, type
Yeah.
of thing. They'll have like, they'll do the fair where it's kind of like they'll have 1,000 prints of, a lot of pop art stuff,
Mhm.
and they just sell
Yeah,
those
yeah,
prints,
yeah.
sell those prints. Okay, is are you do you want to do that? Is money sort of really important to you,
Mhm.
or is it, creative freedom?
Right.
Do you just want to create the work that you want to create, and not have sort of like money tied to it? So I mean, that's a whole nother, that's on the other side of the spectrum.
Yeah, yeah.
But now it's like, okay, now you have to figure out grants and how you're going to get stuff funded and paid for. So grants and residencies and, sponsorships,
Mhm.
things like that is sort of like what you need to look at versus, you know, pricing your work type of thing. So, one of the best ways to go about that too is like look at artists that you want to sort of emulate or like pick apart and like, okay, what can I cherry pick from this artist and what they've done in terms of, their career,
Sure.
and how can I apply that to my practice? Okay, what residencies did they go to?
Mhm.
What schools did they go to? What shows were they in? What curators did they work with? Where are they putting up their work?
Right.
What publications are sort of showcasing their work? Are they in Juxtapose, or are they in like some other publication? Things like that will help you out in terms of gauging some of the decisions.
Mhm.
You don't have to fully copy, but like pick 5 people that you really like
Mhm.
and say, okay, what are they doing that
Right.
I want to sort of learn from or cherry pick from? I did the same thing.
Yeah.
And okay,
Yeah, I think we
this,
all do.
yeah, it's like, okay, this artist did this artist got into this publication. Okay, let me see if I can talk to that same writer and
Mhm.
show my work to her, type of thing. Okay, they're on this platform, so okay, I need to be on Behance or
Mhm.
Instagram, or I need to start posting myself here, type of thing,
Yeah.
because they seem to have success there. So it's all these different little things that you sometimes have to do. But every artist wants to be different and unique, so it's like no one can give you that magic formula of how to be
Totally.
you
Yeah,
other than you.
exactly.
And yeah, it's like you'll figure it out as you go along.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great advice. Um, what was I gonna ask you? We got some dead air now. Well, yeah. So, what are
No
you most
there.
passionate about right now in like your art career? What's driving you?
Working. I think the, what's driving me is like working on projects that are just different than what I've been doing before.
Mm-hmm.
So if I do the same thing over, that's why I turn down commissions if they ask me to do the same piece twice.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like I don't want to do that.
yeah.
I want to do something new. Um, so working on projects that are just different, odd, um, working on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
So the scale I want to be bigger, grander, more impactful. So like that's what sort of interests me. So like, I'm trying to figure out how to procure one of these walls downtown that are like really large.
So,
And
can I just stop you
yeah,
right there for a second? So, when you're going to procure a wall, how do you approach a business or someone?
yeah.
I know that that's like I
So
ask this to a lot of people too. So,
yeah, I mean, there's a few different ways. So like me, there's a couple different ways. It's like sometimes I'll just walk into a business and say, "Who owns this wall?
yeah, yeah.
This wall on the side. Do you guys run it?
Mm-hmm.
Can I paint it?" Type of thing. Or if they say, "Well, you know," but I'll go. Sometimes I'll go in when I see it, and I know I won't be in that area for a while. I'll go in and just ask. But sometimes I'll be prepared and have like a whole sort of like a mock-up type of thing too. So that will help out. But usually I'll call a business and say, okay, who do I have to talk to? I'll tell this while I'm a local artist, Thomas,
Mm-hmm.
and I do work here, here, and here, and I would love to paint your wall. And thing is, like, you want to sort of figure out how to pay for it without their help,
Okay.
because a lot of times it's kind of like they they're worried about their bottom line, especially nowadays. They're worried about
Certainly,
their
yeah.
bottom line,
Yeah.
and they don't need another expense
Right.
type of thing. So how does it add value to their business too? So
Makes
they
it
just don't
stand
want,
out.
yeah,
Just give them some
more foot
benefits.
traffic type of thing,
Yeah.
whatever. So like, how does it add value to their business? So that's some of the mindset you have to have.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're approaching sort of like a business or a building owner or development, it's like, okay, I need to have, a mock-up for them to see, so that I can build trust with them.
Right.
So like they know my history, they know that this is the work that I do, and this is the mock-up I want to put on their space, so they can actually visualize. You just want them to visualize
Right.
what you're going to do.
Right, because I mean, they might as well assume like some guy off the street.
Yeah,
Like,
they're not artists.
what are you gonna do a
Yeah.
stick figure painting on
They're
the side of
not,
my
yeah,
building?
they're not artists. They can't really visualize it like us. So it's
Right.
kind of like you have to sort of bring supplemental sort of materials to help them do that,
Yeah.
and then going to them saying, "Hey, I want to do this, this, and this," and it won't cost you anything. That helps out like 90%. It won't cost you anything.
So do you get a grant to do that?
So you can go get a grant, like through Denver. They have the Urban Arts Fund,
Mm-hmm.
or you can get sponsorship. But most of my walls kind of like I fund myself.
Yeah.
Doesn't take me too much because I can get a good space done really fast. It doesn't take me too much and too many resources to do it. So, a wall that's about 20 feet by 30 feet, I'd say maybe $500 to $300, but
Out of pocket cost.
out of pocket cost.
That's for like renting a lift too.
Well, let's shorten it to 15 feet, where I can just use
Okay.
the ladder.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But if you need a lift, it's a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah.
So like lift, a regular lift, you just calculate $400 to $1,000 there, depending on how tall the wall is. But for the most part, if I can just use my ladder, I'd
Yeah.
say $300 to $500. But that helps me get other work type of thing. Too.
Exactly.
Builds a portfolio.
I was gonna say, like, one thing I have been saying to myself and other people recently. I think that's the only time it's appropriate to do work for exposure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
it's like
it's
you got
actual exposure.
it's like when you know you want that exposure and it's gonna be
Right.
good for you type of thing. That's when I'm like, I like this wall and I'll paint it because I want to paint it type of thing.
Right.
Yeah, never fall for exposure pitch at all.
Yeah.
So it's basically a lot of times like 75% of the walls I do like I self-funded type of thing. And then a lot of times too, it's like when you do a really great job, they'll give you money afterwards.
Right.
Because they like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
This actually help you out type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So in the end, like sometimes it just breaks out even, and then like once you start getting jobs from that, it helps out. But it also helps out too when you're wanting another wall. You're like, I just did that wall down the street.
Mm-hmm.
Or I want to paint your wall. I just did that wall down the street.
Right.
And then they have a reference for everything. So, saw one building down here that was on Champa and Park Ave that was wasn't abandoned. It was slated to be torn down. So the owners of the lot, they're not doing anything with it. The developers. So I found out who owns it by Googling, and then reached out to them and said, hey, just the email. My name's Thomas Evans. I want to paint this building, do art installation on it, and this is what I want to do. I sent the mock-up and everything, and she got back to me like 2 days later and said, oh, I know your work. I see it around town type of thing.
Nice.
Yeah, if you want to do it, definitely do it. And I told her, like, I know it's going to get torn down, so it's only temporary, and don't worry about the cost. I'll pay for everything else or have someone else do it. And she was stoked about it.
Nice.
Type of thing. So I did that twice, and then the latest one I actually found out who owned it through the city's map that they have, where it's like you can find out who owns property.
Oh, nice.
And who owns a lot, because each lot is like a parcel, and it has to be registered with the city, and there's a map.
And that's just public information.
Public information. So
nice.
You can look on Denver's map or even Aurora's map or wherever city you live in on their website and see, oh, this lot is owned by blah 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 LLC, and then you just Google that name, and sometimes
find
it
an
pops
email
up with
or a
like
phone
number,
number.
whatever.
Yeah.
And you just do your research. That's the biggest thing. It's like you can't have someone to hold your hand.
Definitely.
When you're trying to sort of do all these different projects.
You just gotta learn by doing it.
Yeah, you gotta learn by doing it, and sort of like, oh, I learned this, or I learned to say this phrase, and it helps me out, or, I gotta learn to stay away from this and do this to really get them to say yes, type of thing. So that's really what you have to do. Stay prepared, and sometimes like it's as easy as just walking in off the street and saying, hey, I'm an artist, I want to paint your wall.
Check out my work.
Yeah, check out my work, or give them a card type of thing. And sometimes they'll get back to you and they'll be like, yeah, definitely. But yeah, this is just like I said, it's easy as that, and that's when people start to come at you with, hey, I have a restaurant. I need it painted type of thing. I want one of your murals, because then people start to ask you to paint because they like your style, and it fits with their sort of aesthetic or their sort of business space or something like that. So it just depends. And like once people start to do it more and more, they'll start to understand like what they need to do for their practice to sort of get those opportunities. Yeah, nice. You just got to make your own opportunity. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. Just be on top of it. Pay attention.
Be on top of it, man.
Yeah. Dope, man. Yeah, so do you have like a routine every day? Are you really scheduled, or
no?
You do anything else outside of the art and the art hustle to keep your mind focused, or are you just on it?
Every day is something always related to art.
Yeah.
Like I do throughout I have my podcast I listen to type of thing, but everything's like art related.
Yeah.
In some way. But like some of the podcasts are like music related or something other stuff, but nothing like activity wise outside of this.
Yeah.
That I usually do.
You're not like into exercise or anything like that, or?
Like I'll exercise from like before COVID. Like my 24-hour fitness was open.
Oh, okay.
Most of the day.
Yeah.
But then they shut down. Now I have to find a new gym.
Okay.
That's open, but more gyms are closed now.
Right, right.
But I did like exercise at the end of the day, or go to it at the beginning of the day. And I used to do more like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu,
Mhm.
like stuff like that.
Nice.
But I haven't been able to do that now because I've just been so busy
Yeah.
with like like today. It's like I got to do more mock-ups than I wish I have.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like mock-ups that need to be turned in. Oh, I have a couple of prints that were made, and now I need to go to the print shop and sign them
Mhm.
so they can be shipped. Oh, someone ordered a book, so I gotta ship this book, or I have to go up to Boulder and clear coat a mural after the artist I'm collaborating with finishes. So it's like all these different things that I have to do throughout the day,
Yeah.
and they're all different. So like, the prints and the sort of is different than the book stuff that I have. That's
Totally.
different than the mural project that I'm working on. That's different than this other random sort of music video project that I'm working on with a friend. So all these things are different. Then I got to start planning this next wall. That's more collaborative than anything,
Mhm.
and it's like more me taking the lead on organizing everything with a group of friends. So, all these different things. So
Where's
we
that
just
gonna
take
be
a look.
at?
So that's like 40th and Franklin,
Okay.
or 40th and Walnut. It's right beside the industry building. Trying to do it with my friend Armando and Blake Jackson from They Shootin'. It's like photographers, and then having a bunch of other photographers submit photos.
Mhm.
We print them up, we beat paste them and everything on the wall. So it's like I want to call the project like document everything. So it's basically like what was 2020 about, and like
Yeah.
there's still stuff happening, but just like sort of like a journal on the wall. There's like photographs and sort of like graffiti and sort of tags and murals about like 2020. So basically having sort of like a journal on that
Just
wall.
another new
Yeah, and
thing.
that was like an
That's
abandoned
dope.
building.
Yeah.
Well, not abandoned, but just like it's gonna slated to be torn down
Mhm.
because they're gonna do a new development on top of that. So it's like it's gonna get torn down early next year. So researched who owns it, reached out and said, hey, I want to do this on the building before it gets torn down, and they're like, yeah. And they don't have to fund anything. It's like I
Right.
found funding other places to sort of do it. So basically, it's like just creating like these fun projects that I
Yeah.
get to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's half my time. It's like I have to figure out what next project I'm going to do. That's really fun, but all that stuff is like leading to the next project
Mhm.
that I want to do, and then leading to like an opportunity that pays type of thing.
Got it.
So it's nonstop just work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nonstop work.
You got to keep that momentum going.
Yeah, keep it going.
For sure.
Yeah.
Um, do you have a purpose or like a mission behind your art at all?
Everything's different.
Yeah.
Everything is like mainly just about trying to connect with the community,
Mhm.
but also trying to explore things that I'm really interested in, and all that stuff is sometimes it's random.
Yeah.
It's like random stuff that I'm interested in, and but always trying to do something that hasn't been done before,
Right.
and seeing if I can do it to the best of my abilities. So like even getting into like film and television, I want to do. So like working on that's a whole new thing I haven't
Yeah.
really done,
Like
but I want to do
editing
that.
or
Just like
little
like
acting.
directing, like
Yeah,
writing,
okay.
writing like a short movie or even like a pilot for
Yeah.
like a comedy type of thing,
Oh, hell yeah.
and then sort of like putting together the actors and like actually shooting it, packaging it, and seeing if you can make it something
Yeah.
type of thing. So
Speaking of comedy, so I told you I kind of stalked your Instagram.
yeah.
I saw the hashtag Stop Thirst Trap Art on there,
Yeah.
and you put on like some yoga pants
Yeah.
and stuff. That was so funny, man.
Yeah.
Does like humor play a role in your expression with art, or was that just something to
I mean, that was
let off a little steam?
Yeah, that was just like fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Cause I did like a year and a half of stand up comedy for a while.
Oh, you did.
I did.
I've done some open mics.
Yeah, I did like open mics. Used to do the Squire. Did
Okay.
the Improv, Comedy Works.
Nice.
But that was like 2007.
Oh, word. Wow.
No, 2000 like late 2006, early 2007
Mm-hmm.
when I was doing it. and did some. I started out in St. Louis when I was living in Belleville, Illinois. Did like a improv troupe at the local community college I was going to,
Nice.
and we did some comedy stuff. And we were like, two of us were like, hey, let's actually see if we can do some stand up. So we tried out for the improv group. I sucked at it.
Yes.
The audition sucked. Yeah, yeah. I was rambling and nothing made sense. I was just throwing stuff out there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just did not go well. So, but I was doing stand up and I was doing really good. And I mean, that helps me out when it comes to just like talking to people.
Totally. Yeah.
And that's why I was like doing events and hosting those events on campus because I was good at it. But like, I was doing stand up for a good bit. And then moved to Denver, did that for a little bit, and we just got busy with school.
Yeah.
Yeah, busy with school because you got to keep writing.
Yeah.
You got to keep writing because like some of the same people who goes to like one open mic will then move over an hour later to the next open mic.
Right.
You're going, it's like,
yeah.
I can't do the same jokes.
I know.
Yeah, and then like
Yeah.
you're on stage trying to ramble and
Right.
you get crickets.
You're
That's
out
like
there
the
on
worst.
a wire, you know.
So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, let me just focus on the other stuff I was doing. Because I was also doing dancing. I was doing DJing, hosting events, things like that. So I was like, let me just put this to the side, and then haven't been back since.
Yeah.
But you know, it was like when Josh Blue,
Yeah.
from Denver was like really big. He was doing Last Comic Standing,
Yeah.
and he was like blowing up. And yeah, so it was fun for a while. I always tell artists if they can like do an improv class or a stand up open mic type of thing.
Yeah. You have to move your anxiety out of the way.
Yeah.
And that's so helpful in the art world, like to be able to just talk to people,
Yeah.
you know?
So like, how do I connect with someone without knowing them?
Right.
And like, okay, what do we have in common? Okay, what do we not have in common? What can we make fun of, type of thing?
Yeah.
So that's like what I was learning, just like doing stand up and just like talking to people all the time.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, really just stopped right after that. But yeah, it's like comedy is like something I always love to do, but it's like trying to mix that in a little bit more with like the Instagram stuff that I'm doing. So
Yeah.
I've done a couple of sort of like these comedy videos on there and everything, more art related than anything.
Right.
Wanting to do more, but it's like I just gotta find the time.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Is like finding the time.
The time is always slipping away, you know?
Yeah, so that's like something that I really need to work on right there.
Yeah.
Is like finding the time to bring other people in who can like, you know, who also want to like film like some sketch stuff and like,
Yeah.
you know, just do some crazy stuff like that. So that's like one of the things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's like where that sort of sketch came out of.
Yeah, I did a funny one trying to sell hoodies, and it worked. I mean, it was all, I just did it on my iPhone, you know?
Yeah.
Like, just
That's what's up,
iMovie,
man.
you know?
Yeah, dude.
It's so much fun. Like, most of the time I'll like be painting or whatever and have an idea and be like, oh, that's pretty funny, and then just keep painting.
Yeah.
You know? But then that day I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
Trying to figure that out.
It was like the thirst trap that was like flooding my Instagram feed. I had to stop following a couple people because of that.
Yeah.
It went from then doing art, and then they saw how many likes they got with like a
them
shoulder exposed, and I was
yeah.
like, oh, okay. And then it moved from a shoulder to like the entire bottom, and like, oh, this is OnlyFans on Instagram disguised as art. So I was like, I gotta stop following you. I think I'm gonna get in trouble with people. But yeah, so it became that. And I was like, you know, let me do like a little comedy sketch about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was like a way of like letting off like some commentary.
Yeah,
without being super mean.
Yeah.
Type of thing, because I sort of, I wouldn't even say pigeonholed myself, but like I sort of made my feed to be really positive.
Yeah.
So I can't be going off.
Yeah, you can't
people.
be like.
You know?
You're just showing your ass.
Yeah, I can't be like going off and
Yeah.
criticizing too many people, type of thing.
And I mean, more power to them, honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if you can use
that's
yourself to sell your art, that's great.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, you know, I'm not hating on that at all.
Right.
It's just like some like observation.
Right.
Type of thing that you know people can laugh at, because you know whatever can sell work, you know, and it works for you.
Right.
Do it if you're comfortable with it. Do it because there's people out there that are just so fucking dope, and it's really hard for them to sort of move work
Right.
because they're introverts.
Right.
They may, it's like they're not the sort of the was the eye of the beholder or the beauty, like
Beauty's in
the
the eye of the
perfect
beholder.
template of like
Yeah,
what
yeah.
an artist should look like
Sure,
or be
sure.
or what you want to be type
Yeah,
of thing.
right.
I get that from a lot of older artists too.
And they might not even just have the like new age social
Yeah.
media marketing mindset,
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's like that's one of the biggest things is like you can be the dopest artist of all time, but if people aren't seeing your stuff, like
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of artists like that, and then in the end, no one's gonna really give you anything, and
Yeah.
it's kind of like do whatever you can to sort of get ahead type of thing.
Right.
That you're comfortable with, you can live with, because like if you, it's like I don't want to stop you from sort of making your dreams happen.
Yeah,
Type
yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like something we can poke fun at.
Yeah.
But really, it's kind of like you just do what you got to do type of thing.
Sure, sure.
But yeah, because like, anyone who's comfortable with themselves would be fine with that because kind of like we said at the beginning, it's like comparing yourself type of thing.
Yeah.
Not everything is based on likes. Not everything is based on sort of like how many sales did you get this year.
Right.
You
gotta
be comfortable in
define
your own lane.
success.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you gotta
for
define
yourself.
your own success type of thing and not worry about what other people are doing. So that's like one of the things I tell artists to really just focus on.
Totally.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, like one last question, and then I want to let you tell people that you have a book and where to find you and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So what does being Artsy AF mean to you? It's kind of a contrived question, I know, but
Oh, okay. So artsy as fuck. Okay. Mean to me, I guess. I mean, being able to do what I want,
yeah,
create what I want when I want, type of thing.
cool.
I mean, yeah. I mean, sometimes I get a ton of just like people who are like super professional,
Mm-hmm.
looking over the fence at my grass, and they're like, "Oh, that's really green."
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
you get to create what you want to.
Yeah,
you get
yeah.
to do what you want to. So having that sort of feeling is good, and it's like based on like because I just to create what I want to create and do these ideas that can sort of like be new
Mm-hmm.
and sort of just like I guess really it's different than what other people are doing and sort of gives me confidence that I actually made something that hasn't been seen before, so I mean that's really what I would consider like me being artsy,
Yeah.
and having people just enjoy like my creative expression, and doing that full time, I guess. Yeah.
Awesome.
Hope that answered the question.
Oh, that's perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for coming on. Tell people where they can find you and maybe
Um,
about your book and what you're working on next.
Yeah, I guess you can find me on Instagram where I post all the time.
We'll tag you and
Detour
everything in the
303,
yeah, yeah.
and then I am Detour.com, so you can find me there. And then the YouTube channel I'm trying to beef up too. That's just I am Detour.
We'll tag you on our
Yeah.
YouTube video and
Awesome.
everything too.
And then
Yeah.
really, it's like I have the book out, Be the Artist. Buy it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and I think a couple of other bookstores. So I'd just say Google Be the Artist, Thomas Evans, and you'll find it. And then there's a website where if you want a signed copy, you can get it straight from me, type of thing too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not only an artist, I hawk books now. I'm that guy at the book signing.
Well, hell yeah. You've got a lot of interesting things to say,
Yeah.
man. Thank
Yeah,
you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Bless. Oh, there we go.
Peace.
Sweet.